Welcome everyone to Your Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time.
None of that affects how you are going to change the world.
That's right.
No, it does not take one person to change the world, but it takes one person to believe in themselves.
Yes.
That they can make a difference.
I love
to
that.
Inspire others.
And that's why, for me, I try to make it my purpose now to try to help other people realize their self-worth.
Yeah.
Because it's so sad that so many of us, we get destroyed based off of what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I would say do it in your own way. Make sure you're doing it on your own accord and take a risk.
Go out there and live your life passionately. Believe in everything that you're doing and believe in the fact that you will accomplish every single goal. Welcome everyone to Your Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to mind your mental health, prioritize self-care, make sure that you seek help when needed. More importantly, have those open and honest conversations about your well-being, because mental health is just as important as physical health. I am your host, LaShawn Walker, and this is my co-host,
Celine Ferdinand.
We'd like to welcome you in to another episode of Your Unity. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now. I hope that you guys had a wonderful week. We are here. Celine and I have been busy all weekend,
Yes,
right?
we have.
Oh my God.
And we had such an amazing weekend. And, well, I started off on Saturday. I had a 5K with Girls on the Run, with girls from all over. And I think it was a really fun experience, just running and meeting all different girls. And I also, the next day, I had my dance recital, which we had a lot of fun at.
Yes.
And I did hip-hop and lyrical, and it was so much fun, and I got to hang out backstage with my friends and talk and socialize too.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I got the honor of hanging out with you for 2 days this past weekend. I hope that you guys were able to enjoy a beautiful sunny weekend that we had the past couple of days. It was really, really good. We deserved it too. We really have. It's been raining. We have all these storms in all these parts of the world right now and the states around us. So I hope that you guys are safe. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. And more importantly, I hope that you're ready for the summer that is fast approaching. The sun is blaring today, right?
Yes, and it was really hot outside today too.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
How was school?
School was great. Today was budget day, as you know, and so when the parents came to vote, all the students, each grade had a different activity. And so my grade, we did a relay race with different obstacle courses and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And sadly, my class got third, though.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, at least you got some exercise in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's cool.
And then we also, in art, we made different foods and desserts, and they made a little presentation or show, and it was a diner theme.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You sound like you've been very busy, my friend. And we have next weekend, or this weekend actually, we have Memorial Day. So it's going to be some time for us to get out and have some fun, go to a park maybe, a barbecue or two.
Yeah.
Do you have any grand plans for this weekend? We got a 3-day weekend.
I don't have any grand plans yet, but I'm hoping that I have a lot of family and friends, and having fun and really celebrating the day.
Yeah, I'm planning on taking a trip, I think. My aunt, she's been in a nursing home, in rehab really, for the past couple of months, and she just ended up back in the hospital. So I think I'm going to take some time and go visit her. I usually get on the highway, head to Maryland or Virginia, but I think I'm going to stay a little local this weekend and enjoy a barbecue or two maybe on Monday. The 29th is actually the memorial of my best friend, Sandra Cabrera, who we were discussing last week with her beautiful daughter Diamond in honor of Mother's Day. Her passing was on the 29th, so I'm going to somehow, some way celebrate her on that day as well. But again, I mentioned we had an amazing weekend, and it started off with us going to the Elmont Memorial High School picnic for all of the seniors. We had raffles that we had to give away because yeah, they're graduating. They need to look good for their prom. They need to look good for their graduation. So we were able to provide them with some free haircuts. They had gift baskets for the girls. It was truly amazing. So I want to talk about that real quick. We're going to get right into unity in the community. And this week in Unity and Community, as I mentioned, Elmont Memorial High School. We just hosted a prom dress giveaway. Prom dress and suit, excuse me, giveaway a few weeks ago. And the young men, we were unable to provide them with any real true gifts. So we give the women, you know, makeups, free makeup sessions and nails and things like that. But for the guys, we decided this year that we were going to not only provide suits and all the accessories that they need for their prom, but also a nice fresh haircut. So our partner, our sponsor, our friend who has also been on the show, Mr. Diaz from Elite Barber Parlor, decided that he was going to donate free haircuts for at least 10 men in Elmont. I loved it, right? It was amazing.
And it was so fun just like giving out the raffles and seeing their exciting faces, and so happy too. And I feel like it made me very proud that I could give back in my local high school too.
That's what I felt too. I think they were well deserved for these young men who have worked so hard these past 4 years to get to this point. I'm wishing them all the best in their future endeavors. There were some athletes out there, some serious scholars out there. Like, I was really, really impressed. Elmont is an amazing, amazing town, and you guys really, truly stick together. It is Elmont strong for real, right?
And we're all like one big family and always there to support.
I love it. So they had a senior picnic. So there was so much food there. They had a little entertainment. We had games. We had music. It was really, really cool. I so much enjoyed it. And then the next day, as this beautiful queen said, she had a recital. So I attended her dance recital, which, oh my God, the talent there was amazing. Apparently this is Edie's Dance Feet. Is that the name of the school?
Miss Edie's Dancing Feet, yes.
I loved it. 25 years this young lady has been in business. How long have you been attending the school?
I've been attending for 7 years since I was 4. Actually, fun fact, I started pageantry the same year I started dance. Actually recommended from one of my queen sisters in pageant.
Wow, well there, that amazing dance troupe was, as well as you in your outfits. You did hip hop and lyrical, and I must say it was amazing. The talent in that room, like I said, was top notch. Miss Edie and her trainers and the dancers and all of the choreographers, they put on an extravagant show. So I advise all of you guys next year to please come out, not only to support our Queen Celine, but also to see what is going on in the community. Edie's Dancing Feet, definitely, and they travel as well, right?
Yes, they do have a competition team too.
Yes, that's what I found to be amazing after I started following them. So yeah, definitely follow Miss Edie's Dancing Feet. They are doing wonderful work with these young girls as well as a few boys, right?
Yes, they do,
I love that. I love that. Well, yeah, it was a busy weekend. I am ready for this 3-day weekend that we have coming up because, so seriously, Celine, I think I need at least one day to recoup from everything that we've been doing, you know?
Yeah, and it's been such a busy week. We, like, that one day, like, or even like a good hour to like relax and like get a hold of yourself and like take everything in.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how I feel. I mean, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I think it is so important, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we prioritize our self-care. And considering that we're always on the go, that we're supporting everyone in all of these communities and organizations and giving back in every way that we can, we get tired too, and we need to replenish all that we've actually given out. So it is important that we take care of ourselves, self-love, take some time to share with others if there's something on our heart that doesn't feel right. So I took the time, not this week, but next weekend, but I did take some time to at least decompress after all that we've experienced this past couple of days, and then the week before was busy. So I know that the life of a queen is also very, very big, very busy, right?
Yes, and it's always good to take a day off, and especially as a pageant girl, there's always something to do, and especially with community service and just being a support and a person to give back and to be there for your community too.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental Health Awareness Month is observed annually in May. It aims to raise awareness and understanding of mental health issues, reduce stigma, and promote mental well-being. During this month, various organizations, communities, and individuals engage in activities such as educational events, advocacy campaigns, and outreach efforts to support those affected by mental health conditions and promote overall mental wellness. And I think that that is so important, especially now. These kids, I notice these seniors, they've put in so much work these past 4 years, and I know this is the culmination of all that hard work, this graduation, this prom, and everything they're experiencing, but it has to be exhausting as well. And so I am hoping that they also take some time during this month and the months going forward to make sure that you put your self-care first, put all of your energy into taking care of yourself and your well-being. I just recently heard, I don't know if you are aware, but a couple of weeks ago, pageant queens, Miss USA and Miss USA Teen decided that they were going to resign from the pageant world because of their mental health. What do you think about that?
Well, I think in the pageant world, it's also very difficult because I feel like there's a lot of pressure too, and it can affect your mental health in different ways, as it can make you feel confident and improve you, but it also can take you down a little because there's so much, and it might have some setbacks too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I was very shocked to hear that they resigned, but I'm so glad that they decided to own their truth, realize that they were not, thriving and doing well in that area, in that field, and so therefore they decided that they were going to just resign and work on self-care and taking care of themselves. I think that is so important when you can actually realize that and you can own it, and that you can actually share with others that you need it, because the conversation has to be had. I'm not feeling well, I don't feel right, I'm not thinking properly, so I need assistance. And I think that that was so brave for those young ladies to do that, especially, being these reigning queens and catering to so many. I think that is amazing that they took the time to share that with everyone.
And it's also really important, if you do feel those ways, it's really important to make sure that you're heard and you ask for help or do something about it.
Yeah. Well, how do you prioritize your self-care and well-being?
Well, I try to make some time for myself, maybe because I like to listen to music too. So just taking a couple of minutes to listen to music or like draw or something that just makes me feel good about myself, and to just get a break from everything else going on.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I like to sleep.
Yes.
When I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed out, because that's really what it is, it's being stressed out for me, I tend to sleep, and I share what I have going on, on my heart or in my mind with my friends. And sometimes, you may need to seek out a professional to help you on your journey. But just speaking about it, just letting it off your chest is so important. Well, that's what we're going to be speaking about today. It's mental health and how we can all take care of ourselves, but more importantly for the youth. We have a amazing young lady here that is going to speak to that. So I would like to bring her in immediately. The title of the show is Mind Your Mental Health. And we're going to be speaking to Shaquan Robinson. Shaquan is a 30-year-old licensed New York State social worker. She graduated from the University at Buffalo with a double major in health and human services and sociology. During her studies, she gained a global perspective through experiences in England, Rwanda, South Africa, and Kenya. After earning her master's in social work from Fordham University, Shaquan interned at the Legal Aid Society Juvenile Rights Practice and the United Nations, focusing on micro-level social issues. These experiences helped her develop a holistic approach to social work. Shaquan has worked with diverse populations as a medical and school social worker. Her commitment to understanding and empathizing with individuals ensures she provides the highest quality support. Her global and cultural experiences enrich her practice, allowing her to truly see and hear those she serves. So please help me welcome the amazing Shaquan Robinson. How are you?
I am fine, and yourself?
We're well.
So good to see you. I miss
see
you.
you. Yes.
I love my students. So Celine being one of my former students, I'm very happy to see her today.
Oh,
Yes,
well,
it's
it's
nice to
beautiful.
be
We are so happy to have you here to shed
you for
some
having
light
me.
on what
Yes.
we're honoring this month, which is mental health and the importance of us, breaking the stigma, obviously,
Very much
and
so.
helping out our youth in our community. They're dealing with so much. The world is changing so fast around us. So
Yes.
I am so grateful for you to be here with us today.
Yeah.
So I like to dig right in. Please,
Yes.
my friend, first, tell us a little about yourself. I know I read your bio, but it didn't speak too much to who you
Yes.
are, where you born, where you raised. Talk about yourself for a minute.
Yes, so I was born in Queens, and then when I was about, say, 3, my family decided to move to Long Island, so we went from Queens to Elmont.
Oh, wow.
I was in Elmont until about 4th grade, and then I went to Valley Stream, where I have been since. So after graduating from Central High School, I went to the University at Buffalo. SUNY, I wanted to really increase my independence. I wanted to make sure that I was getting out of my little bubble that was home and the 2 towns that I've been in my entire life. It really opened my eyes because the University at Buffalo, on average, has 30,000 students at any given time from around the world. So I was immediately immersed into different cultures. I actually had a roommate for a year who was studying abroad from South Korea. So that was very fun. It was an amazing experience for both of us. We learned a lot about our different cultures. After graduating, I decided before attending the Fordham University for my master's, I thought that I still needed to see more of the world. So I decided to study abroad again. I initially studied abroad in London, which was a sociology of food course, which when you think about it, you may think, how did we get that? But the root of sociology of food in London was to understand how food can determine an entire group of people.
Wow.
You can follow a population's history. You can see from maybe their religious practices why they may eat or don't eat certain items. So I learned so much from the very beginning.
Wow.
So, yes.
I love that, as well as I'm sure indulge in different culinary delights, right?
Oh, yes.
I love that. I love that. Well, you know, you're on this road now in mental health, sociology. Tell us about how you decided that you were interested in helping others.
Yes, so that started with my grandmother. My grandmother, who was born in 1945 in South Carolina and came to New York very early, she always taught me growing up that if you are fortunate to help others, do so.
Yeah.
That was it. So that was the foundation in which I was raised on. And I got to undergrad, and I would say social work found me, which is often what they say. You don't find a social work career, it finds you.
Right.
So initially I was going to be communication disorders. It wasn't the best fit. And then I ended up through career advisory with social work, and I fell in love with the career.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
Can you tell us maybe about why is mental health so important to you, and why is it so important for others to get help for their mental health too?
Yes. I think your mental health determines the quality of your life.
Yeah.
I've worked with all walks of life, from newborns, you know, in the family court, to working with those at the end of their life cycle. And you can see the difference in someone's life path based on their ability to be mindful,
Yes.
to be open, to be honest, and to make sure to take care of themselves.
Yes.
And through that, I found my passion.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Now, I know that you work with the youth.
Yes.
Was your passion initially to help specifically a certain group of people, or were you so you wanted to
I would say initially, social work is so broad that I knew I wanted to help others, but I didn't know what capacity. I then started to reflect on my own school experiences and the teachers and the service providers who were there in pivotal moments in my education,
Right.
and when I had to learn to cope with different aspects of life at a young age. And I remember thinking I wanted to be that for somebody else.
Right.
And I think deep down I was always meant to work in a school and work with children.
I totally get that. Yes. Go ahead. Anything?
If you weren't to become a social worker or in the mental society, would you become anything else?
Yes. Okay.
She said that quick.
I've had this. I went 2 ways in high school.
Okay.
So my initial plan before graduating was to
Right.
become a zoologist.
Oh, wow.
Not a vet, specifically a zoologist. I had the plan I was going to be similar to Jane Goodall, you know, and it was what I realized was the advocacy of, you know, animal conservation, especially in the continent of Africa.
Right.
And it was there's similar components there. Essentially, when you work with children, they may not have a voice, they may not know yet how to advocate or defend themselves or understand themselves.
Right.
And it's very similar challenge in a way when you're working with another person or other
Right.
who may not be able to communicate.
Yeah, no,
So
I
like
totally
the
get
challenge of
that.
that as well.
I love that. So when did that change? That plan to become a zoologist?
In undergrad, when I really started to look at the courses,
Yeah.
it really didn't pique my interest as much.
I see what you're saying.
And then I said, okay, I need to have that connection. I need to feel involved. And then my career advisor said social work. And
love
after
it.
about an hour of speaking with her, I said, oh, okay,
Yeah,
let's go for
this-
it.
this
Yes.
sounds exactly like
it gives
what
me
I wanna do.
Yes, it gives me the ability to do everything I want to do and how to help others.
Well, you mentioned that you also, got steered into this particular field in this direction because of what you realized you didn't have or you did not see in your past.
Yes.
So tell me a little about what that was specifically that you recognized then that could have been helped had the services been available, or we
Yes.
did not have a stigma at that time.
Yes, I would say within schools currently, there's definitely more of a push for social emotional learning as a service provider working to help children understand themselves,
Yeah.
and how that leads to helping them in all aspects of their life.
Right.
So it's those foundational skills that
Right.
they learn. I don't remember having that myself when I was in elementary school, and it wasn't until I was a lot older, as we were learning AP psychology in high school, we were taking courses in college, that we learned so much about ourselves, and I learned so much about myself. And looking back, I just see so many areas that we may have missed.
Yes.
I've heard some of my peers, my cohort say, I was quiet, so I went unnoticed.
Right.
But that didn't mean I wasn't suffering.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
How does that manifest, really? Like, you know, mental health issues, especially with the youth, and they don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to share. They're afraid to say anything. How do you think, you know, the issue actually manifests itself to whereas you're now aware that they need some type of assistance?
That depends case by case. It also depends on the gender, because girls and boys do not exhibit behaviors or say a diagnosis in the same manner.
Right.
They may have different behaviors. Boys tend to be more outward with their behavior, so it's easier, for example, in a classroom, if there is a child that is maybe a little too active or a little too loud, compared to girls who tend to mask their symptoms more.
Right.
So for a girl, it may be she fiddles, you know, with her jewelry or her hair, and that's something where she's really not causing as much as a disruption, so she's less likely possibly to be noticed. And we see that a lot with certain diagnoses. Boys will be diagnosed maybe around 10 or 12, and for a girl, it could be in their 20s.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yes. And it's so amazing we have all these things now. But when you were younger, since we didn't have much of these things, would there be someone that you were willing to turn to maybe?
Yes. And this person, well, there was a couple professionals who honestly, I mean, I've told them already, they are the reason why I am a social worker, why I am a school social worker, and why I choose to advocate and help others. There were several staff and faculty at a very pivotal points in my life where I was able to use school as a safe haven, and school became everything.
I love it.
It all my needs were met. And there were teachers, or there was a social worker or a guidance counselor who decided to take the extra step. And looking back, I realized if they weren't there to make that decision on their own accord, because they are passionate about helping children, I don't know if I would have made the achievements that I have made this far in my life.
I love that. Were you sharing, or did you have any friends that probably were dealing with any issues that felt safe enough, or you know, that they wanted to share with their family or with their friends or with you even at the time?
Yes. So there were, I think, around my cohort, we felt that we would be judged if we had inquired about certain things, even if it was just a question, or even we wanted to take an alternate route after high school, whatever it may have been. We didn't really have anywhere to go.
Right.
You know, at home there may be religious or cultural or generational influences that leave you feeling as though you do not have a place to go. And it was the different staff that showed me that you can have the healthy professional boundaries, that they can have a title of a teacher, guidance counselor, principal, but they care.
Yeah. Yes.
They care. And what they do every day is solely for your benefit.
Yes.
And I think once that clicked in my head for me, it helped me understand my identity, my self-worth. It helps me understand that there is someone there who can hear you and who will understand you. You just have to find that person.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may find you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because how do you reach those people that don't know that you exist, you know? Now you're filling that space that
Yes.
those teachers in your life gave you, that
Yes.
comfort. You're filling that space now. How do you make those children who who normally would not be able to share that or feel that safe to come to you actually realize that, hey, I am here. This is a safe space. I do want to hear you. I do care.
I think there's not one answer. I can name a few actions that I take. For one, as a social worker, you were taught to understand human behavior. So not only do you look at the psychological side of what an individual may be experiencing, but you're also taught to look at all the factors within society, some that I've named already, that may be influencing their life experience,
Right.
and their overall success. So
Yes.
that's one, understanding that it's a multidimensional issue that, or barrier or challenge that a student, a parent, whoever may have. So with my students or with anyone I'm working with, I want them to understand that regardless of what they say to me, no matter what they have been through, what they possibly will go through, I'm not here to judge.
Right.
And in social work school, that is something that they kept on reiterating, and I thought it was just simple.
Right.
Something that was generally understood, but it's not.
It's not.
So when I'm able to show my students or whoever that I'm working with that I am able to meet you just where you are.
Yeah.
Because I have to find your strengths first. We have to
Yes.
figure out who you are, and we have to build trust.
Yes.
We have to build trust. Trust is the beginning of any relationship,
Yeah.
in any capacity. Nothing can grow without trust. So showing up for the students, making sure that they are heard, sometimes saying the things that need to be said but aren't,
Yes.
and understanding that through your good and your bad, I'm there.
Yeah.
So when they see I'm standing there supporting them when they're tantruming, or they went through something embarrassing, or whatever it may be, I will be there.
Right. Right.
And I also take the initiative to truly understand what influences a student. So I mentioned culture, religion.
Right.
I've experienced so many different countries around the world where I've taken weeks and months at a time to really immerse myself.
Right.
So when I see children, especially some that may be refugees or recent immigrants, and I will maybe mention something
Right.
from that country, and they're shocked.
Right.
Or I
Wow.
pronounce their name correctly for the first time.
Wow.
And I've seen it, they're taken aback. And they're like, why do you know that? I'm like, because I've seen some
Yes.
things. I've been to some places.
I've done some
you know?
research. Exactly. I've traveled. I've done.
Yes.
I know something. I'm some
Yes.
things. Well, let me ask you because again, going back to different cultures, as well as religious
Yes.
beliefs, a lot of people don't believe in counseling and therapy. And
Yes.
I grew up kind of in a generation of you're going to be okay. Whatever problems you have, literally like
Yes.
take a nap and you wake up
Right.
and you'll be okay.
yourself up by your bootstraps.
Exactly. Put
Yes.
yourself up by your bootstraps. This is a big and huge stigma behind
Yes.
us caring for ourselves
Yes.
when we're not well. And we feel truly that we're not well. How do you feel we should combat that? How should we break that stigma?
Well, for myself, that stigma was broken in the home I was raised in.
Nice.
So with my maternal grandparents, my mom, my stepfather, my siblings, my grandmother used to always tell me I was a very sensitive, emotional child. The wind would blow the wrong way, and I was upset.
Wow.
But my grandmother never stopped me from crying.
Right.
She used to say, let it out, Shaquan, cry. You'll feel better, you'll have some water, you'll rehydrate yourself. I was always in those moments when I felt like, no, I should not be this way.
Right.
Because crying may be considered a weakness.
Yeah.
It may be considered, something that is frowned upon.
Right.
I was embraced in my home. So I learned to be emotionally open. I was allowed to have a voice. My opinions mattered. And I also was raised hearing a lot of affirmations. So I never went a day during my childhood, well, I'm 30 now, and I've still heard I love you every single day
I love that.
from someone in my family. And when I'm harsh on myself or I doubt myself, there's always a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, a best friend, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle to remind me of who I am when I don't.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that.
And especially as a social worker, and you work with so many different people, is there like a big thing that you've learned, or like something inspirational that has kept with you?
Let's say for me, it was, let me think about that for a second. There were so many inspirational moments.
Wow.
I think with all the interactions I've had, something I've taken away from it that continues to benefit me today is how you inquire about someone's identity, somebody's life, somebody's passion, their past. It is how you ask,
Yes.
because you will receive a different response.
Yes.
And sometimes I've seen how when I pronounce someone's name correctly, or I stop and I clarify. For example, if one student is commenting about another student's hair, but the question is said in a condescending way or a judging way, and I can see the child shrinking in on themselves.
Right.
And me being able to step in and change the tide and change the conversation and teach them earlier than later that language and the words you choose to use affect your relationships and how you're seen.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In the world that we're living in today, and social media and just everything that we have at our mere fingertips, it is easy, I know, for young kids to get stuck in that funnel of sadness, depression, comparing themselves to others, allowing others to bully them and things like that. What do you think we should be doing about that as parents, as society, but more importantly, the children? What should they be doing in order to combat that and make sure that they take care of themselves in the midst of all of the noise around them?
To be honest, in my experience working with students, they do a lot better than adults.
Really?
They do.
Wow.
Students,
How is that?
the children tend to be more honest. They are, in a way, less mindful, but also mindful. So, with maturity comes shame, guilt, embarrassment.
Right.
Children don't have that yet. They're still in a place of, I love everyone, everybody loves me. As they get older and they are finding their own identity, or they being influenced by others, do you see the separation between the children? So I think taking a note from our children, from our students, the youth in the community, allowing them to kind of just say what's on their mind. Unfortunately, sometimes it starts in the home, where a child begins to feel self-conscious or begin to doubt themselves.
Right.
And that's going to happen outside the home, the world that's there.
Right.
So we have to teach the coping strategies and understanding their self-worth and their importance, and understanding that language matters.
Yes.
How you even speak about yourself. If a girl says, oh, everyone says I'm super bossy, like, or you're a leader.
Yes. Yes. It's all about context. You're right.
So just changing those conversations,
Yeah.
changing the words that someone uses to describe themselves and identify themselves.
Yes, I love that. I really, really love that. And you're so right. It does start in the home. Because again, even with our unity and with the fact that I know that love and peace can be achieved, is we just keep filling our children with that information, instilling that in them. They're always, like you mentioned, going to know or feel that they love everyone, everyone is a friend, nothing is too hard, no one's going to harm me. And it's after they learn those things that we put on them is when they have those fears and those doubts and things like that.
So I do have a really good example.
Go ahead.
For example, if you have a co-teach or integrative co-teach class, you may have general ed and special education children together. The children don't know they have IEPs or 504s, or if they're gen ed students. I have worked with an array of students who they naturally figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are. You may have a student who is nonverbal, but I promise you there'll be one person in that class one child who communicates without any issues.
Right.
and they're the best of friends, and it may just be it was a super talkative child who needs someone who just listens, and that's okay.
Yes, yes.
Or you'll have a parent who's worried because there may be a child with a diagnosis and it may have behaviors.
Right.
And I'll have to say, well, funny enough, you're concerned about how your child may be affected by these behaviors or if they may mimic the behaviors, but it's your child who's protecting this other student.
Right.
It's your child who's saying, that's not nice.
Right.
They won't say no, but I'll say no, don't take their stuff.
Yes, yes.
So you're also, they're assisting each other.
Right.
And they're naturally exhibiting the characteristics that we want them to have.
Yeah.
We just have to foster them as they are showing them.
Yes, I agree with that,
Yes.
right?
And I feel like that's so super important, especially in the society we live in now. And also with social media, which is a huge thing now. What have you seen and how has it affected the children that you work with?
Wow. So social media, I think when I was in middle school, Facebook, MySpace was all the rage.
Yes.
But there were still certain limitations. I think now with our current youth, there's a separation between the parents and the children in terms of understanding technology. So a lot of times if there's an issue with a group chat with a group of friends or students and an issue arises, a conflict arises, a lot of parents will say, I didn't know my child had that app.
Yep.
Or they said all their friends have it.
Right.
But they're supposed to be 13. And there's a reason why there's limitations to use certain applications because it's based off the development of a child's brain.
Right.
And the frontal lobe and their ability to judge and have fair and good judgment.
Right.
Excuse me. And sometimes a parent may give their student the iPhone and not know that when they sign up for the app, even though they may have parent settings, you didn't turn off the phone settings.
Right.
So the location. Most applications, when you download and create an account, it automatically chooses your location settings to be on.
Right.
So if a student goes on Snapchat, if they don't understand, a parent doesn't understand that you have to look through hidden photos, that there are locked features within applications, that really anyone can get on this app and put an age and a name.
Yeah.
And just teaching internet safety
Right.
and having open communication. I've had safety concerns where a student may have been talking to someone who they thought was a child, and then maybe the conversation changed and they realized they weren't. Many times they came to me because they were afraid to tell their parent.
Wow.
And so I would have to get all the information kind of like an attorney and explain what I'm going to say to their parents and how we're going to work this out, but also making my student or the child aware of what they need to do.
Right.
But a lot of times it's maybe not understanding the depth of the technology in which our youth are using.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think a lot of us are old school. We don't want to learn something new at work. So imagine our kids come home with a new tool, a new tech thing, and they want us to help them. And no, here's the game, here's the phone. You figure it out, and just make sure you're not watching porn. You know,
Right.
That's
Make
it.
sure there's no cursing,
Thank
anything
you.
inappropriate.
That's it.
But situational awareness.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
understanding that things may not always be what they seem.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
But again, parents we're not all certified, licensed, or have our degrees in this. I went to college, I went to undergrad. I attained 3 college degrees to
Right.
get to the place I am, in addition to license and professional license certifications. So I cannot expect every parent to know all the things that I do.
Right. Well, how do you expect us to get there? Not know everything that you know, but at least start trying to bring ourselves some type of awareness. You know what I mean?
I think there are a few different ways.
Okay.
One, I often heard growing up, I'm not your friend, I'm your mom. And from that, I understand from parents, we need to have healthy boundaries. There has to be a hierarchy. That's all healthy, and I understand it.
Right.
But there has to be a little gray area
Yeah.
where maybe with my mom, it was kind of like town talk in the house. So it'll be like once a week, I'll be like, well, Mom, what if I grew up and I married a person of this ethnicity? or this religion, or I was always that inquisitive child.
Right.
And she would be like, as long as that person loves you and respects you and is a positive member of society, who am I to tell you who you should love?
Right.
So all this is already in my head and normalizing everything. So creating that comfortable space.
Yeah.
We don't have to be the best of friends. I still don't curse around my mom, and if I do, it was an accident.
Right.
But I do know that I can call her, my grandmother, my older brother, aunts and uncles at any time and say, "This, I really need you. Like, this is where we really have to sit down.
Right.
And you have to talk to me a little different now. I need to see things. It's that time."
Yeah.
We need to be able to do that and not be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being uncomfortable as a parent is always going to be.
Yes.
So, and your child is always going to throw you a curveball.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I'm the second of 4. My older brother is closer to 40 than 30.
Right.
And the way we still call our mother.
Wow.
And sometimes I'm fighting to get him off the phone
So you can get
so
to her
I
first?
can get to her. And that's never going to change.
Oh, I love that.
And sometimes she's throwing a curveball, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
But so understand that's normal.
Yeah. No, I love that because that is important, that we have open and honest conversations with our parents. I was like that with my daughter. I just feel around 14, 15 years old, they start to shut down. And I'm sure you noticed that as well as you were growing up. So, we're dealing with a lot. We have a lot on our plate. There's so many things going on in our mind. We're dealing with boyfriend, girlfriend issues. And so what do you think about that? How do we, even if we are parents that are forthcoming, asking these questions, wanting to open up that dialogue,
Right.
and the child is shutting down, how do you suggest we deal with that?
I think something that a lot of our youth face is the lack of understanding how powerful they are, understanding how valuable they are, truly always comparing themselves, as you mentioned. So building them up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Teaching healthy boundaries. A lot of conflicts and issues that I see of students from kindergarten to college to adults is not understanding how to protect their boundaries, how to establish boundaries, and be okay if someone is not okay with that.
Right.
So really building the confidence within. Once you get to the place in life where you say, I can fully depend on me. I know I got it. And on top of that, I know I have a village behind me. You approach life completely different.
Right. Right.
So building them up early and also teaching your child that they do not have to fully conform to the world.
Right. Yep.
The world can move around you a little bit. The
Yes.
world has to adapt.
Yes.
You also have a rightful place on this planet simply by being a living, breathing human being.
Yes.
So once you understand your worth, you're less likely to allow someone to treat you less than.
Yes. Yep.
So really building that up and just teaching your child to trust themselves. It's from a lack of trusting even themselves that leads them to making impulsive or inappropriate decisions or doing something where they know they will say after, I knew it was wrong.
Right.
I knew it was wrong. And instead of saying, ignore peer pressure or just ignore, saying, you have to understand that you have to choose yourself.
Right.
If someone doesn't respect your boundaries, if someone doesn't listen or comply when you say, I don't like that, or please stop, that person doesn't deserve to be in your space.
Oh, I agree.
And at what point or when did you learn your boundaries and know how to set your boundaries?
To be very honest, it was my late 20s, more recent than not. And to be very honest with you, I was able to understand it when I began to teach it to my students. So New York State mandates that, there's Erin's Law. So situational awareness to avoid, to prohibit or avoid or look out for child abuse in various severe capacities. And understanding how behaviors may change or grooming behaviors from predators. You can't just teach that to a 3 or 4-year-old, or maybe an older child who may have diagnoses or processing concerns or deficits. So realizing that you have to go around that boundaries. If I play the boundary song or I read books on children or parents teaching their children boundaries, and I teach you that if you're around someone who makes you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, you understand as a child, I may not know what this fully means, but I understand that this is someone I should not be around.
Yes.
And that, I think, also is something that was not taught.
Right. Yeah.
Around my school years.
Right.
And so now finding creative ways of kind of getting those subliminal messages in, because I have pre-K students who will say, you're in my boundary bubble.
Wow.
You did not ask to give me a hug. I have students who, good morning, Miss Robinson, can I have a hug?
Wow.
Yes, you may.
I love that.
Or if someone just grabs a hug, and someone else will say, you're in a boundary bubble, you didn't ask. You didn't get consent.
Yeah.
I didn't give you permission.
Yes.
To touch my body, to give me a hug, to touch my hair, to touch my things.
Right.
So if we're teaching girls and boys to protect your boundaries, to respect others' boundaries, those are learned behaviors.
Right.
From when they're the initial years of their brain forming. That's going to change them in adulthood.
Well, I see that they are learning very early now. I love the fact that they're mandating these sort of classes. I saw even in your pictures that you're having those early morning meditation moments and affirmations and just time for you to decompress and just for you to feel the space around you so that you could prepare yourself for the day. In those moments, and I know that you reach a lot of kids, and I want to get to so much more before the time runs out, but the kids that are still struggling, the kids that even though they have that support, they have a teacher like you, a social worker like you, a guidance counselor, someone that they can rely on and speak to, how do you still reach those children that are still struggling even with the assistance?
Well, if a child is, I would say in different settings, especially in New York State, we have a lot of comprehensive legislation regarding safeguarding certain children.
Okay.
When a child has an IEP of 504, there are now a whole other set of New York State special education laws that apply to that child and that family. There may be other funds, other resources that you can utilize that couldn't be utilized prior. There's also additional protection there.
Right.
You know, with an IEP, you have to stop and say, is this a manifestation of the child's personality, or is this a part of their diagnosis, something that cannot be changed?
Right.
You know, in many cases, we are able to assess, this early intervention. So there are children receiving services, PTOT speech, socialization services, before they even enter 3K, pre-K. By kindergarten, they can be receiving mandated services.
That's great.
You know, so with that being said, you're now in a place of having more resources because now we understand with what was given for a general population that is not enough.
Right.
And in many cases, is also what's needed to help get specialized visits. Pediatric neurologists, and all these other specializations that many of us don't know exist.
Right. Yeah.
And even understanding the capacity of a clinical social worker compared to maybe somebody else. There are a lot of different components there that are now available.
I get it. Well, knowing this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, how are you helping your students see how important, mental health awareness is and prioritizing their self-care and well-being?
Yes. Well, one thing with social work is, as a social worker, I'm not supposed to just hand you what you need. I'm supposed to provide you with the skills and resources. So, like Nanny McPhee, when I'm not around, you're okay. I'm only here because you need me.
Right.
Not because you want me here.
Right.
And that's my purpose. So teaching them to understand themselves. I've had 5-year-olds who will tell me, I need a break. I need to do some yoga.
Wow.
I need my guided meditation. I need my mindful breathing.
Wow.
There are pre-K students who will say, Miss Robinson, I had to tell my dad that he was really bursting my boundary bubble. We were playing, we were wrestling, we were watching whatever, dads and sons. But he said, I was tired and I didn't want to do it anymore. And the dad was just like, I didn't know what to do. I've never been but I couldn't do anything but respect it.
Right.
So teaching a child that when they get angry to notice that their heart rate starts to increase, or they start to sweat,
Right.
or they start to breathe, or the lights get a little brighter in the room, or the sounds get a little louder, and understanding to put preventative measures in place.
Right.
And for those who may need more, there may need to be specialists, there may need to be therapy, there may need to be certain programs. But again, those may not even be available without certain resources put in place first.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yes. And that's so important too. And I feel that it's also very important that the kids also know their boundary and their boundary bubbles too.
Definitely.
And that's a great thing too, yes.
I love that. Well, let me ask you, what are some common misconceptions about mental health that you'd like to address in the capacity that you're in?
Oh, there's a few. One, if you are approached as a parent or guardian and the school or whatever organization may say your child has additional needs, to not let the stigma of your child or the fear of your child being labeled. I often hear they're going to have an IEP, they're going to have a 504, they're going to be labeled, This is going to affect their career. This is going to affect them in college. These documents, this legislation was put in place to support and protect your child. Also, this is a big one, but medication. There's a lot of different views on medication. You may have had an experience where a physician listened to you for 5 minutes, wanted to prescribe something, and you felt that it was useless.
Right.
What I would say to that is, it's your child, and I know you would do anything for your child. So fight. You just have to learn to fight in a different way.
Yes.
Learn to use these skills and resources to your benefit and your child's benefit.
Yes.
To not let maybe certain social norms or cultural misconceptions, I understand, I do. Not let that hold you back. Or the judgment of others.
Right.
You know what's best for your child? Get different opinions.
Right.
If you go to one neurologist and you said, you know what, I didn't like their bedside manner. I don't feel like me or my child were heard. Call and I will give you another reference. I will give you a sheet. I will call. I will help. I will do what I have to do. I ask insurances. I do those things. My job is merely to be a medium between, to help you with any barriers. Ask me. Ask the social worker. Google. Find information. Knowledge is power.
Right.
And when we don't have the information or the knowledge that we need, this is how we end up with maybe a child not receiving the services or meeting the trajectory academically or socially that they had.
Right.
Understand that these things are put in place for a reason. Sometimes they're not used correctly, but that's where you are the advocate.
Right. What are some of the warning signs of mental health issues that young people have that parents can look out for? That, we're busy, we're going to work, we've got our own problems,
Yes.
so we miss a lot. We just think our child had a bad day, but there's so much more, it's so much deeper. So
Right.
real quick, what are some of the warning signs that parents could look out for?
Immediate changes in their behavior. If you have a child who normally loves to go to school, is counting down to when breaks are over, and all of a sudden they don't want to go. Or maybe they start dressing differently, maybe they're covering up more, or maybe the opposite. They are revealing more.
Right.
If they maybe are more irritable, if they tend to cry more, it's not maybe that they're more sensitive, but they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes if you have if your child says, "Oh, my stomach hurts," and it tends to be before the same time of the day or after a certain time, children often show, younger children, if they show it with behavior, they won't say what the issue is.
Right.
You have to read their behavior. You have to see the little things that are changing.
Right.
Hey, why do you not like to do this with that person anymore? Why are you not excited to go to school? Why are you rushing home?
Right.
Why do you not want to take food anymore? Are you eating?
Right.
Those are all signs.
Yeah, that we all need to look out
Yes.
for. Oh my God, I wish we had more time with you. The time is winding down real quick. You have like 20 seconds. I need you to just share with us, you know, something important that we can all take back to our family to have this conversation during this particular month, and, you know, that'll last us a lifetime?
Don't judge. Normalize certain things more, differences more, even within a home. And just always say the words, I love you and I care, because even if they may not hear it now, those words may be echoing in their mind decades later when they're going through something.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Shaquan, for being here.
Thank you for having
No,
me.
we're going to have you back, my friend.
Oh, yes.
You know that.
Very
There's so
much.
much more that
Yes.
we need to delve into, but I do appreciate you being here, okay?
Thank you.
Right? Celine, she was
Thank you for
amazing.
being- yes, wonderful.
Thank you.
Continue to shine.
Thank you.
So we're going to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. And the Dare to Be You is Mental Health Awareness Month reminds us of the crucial importance of minding our mental health. Just as we care for our bodies, tending to our mental well-being is essential for living a balanced, fulfilling life. So let's take this time to prioritize self-care, seek support when needed, and foster environments where mental health is openly discussed and valued. By raising awareness and breaking the stigma, we can create a world where mental health receives the same attention and care as physical health. So that's exactly what this beautiful woman has shared with us today, Miss Shaquan Robinson. We need to normalize this. We need to make this a conversation in every household. So I'd like to thank you again for being here, as well as my beautiful co-host, Miss Queen Celine. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Our Unity. I want you to remember that peace and love is in the palm of our hands. So let's go out there and be some love, share some love, and just give some love. Please go out there and just care for yourself. Remember that self-care, well-being, your health is so important. And if you're feeling okay, the people around you will feel okay as well. We want you to have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week. Please say good night, ladies.
Good night.
Good night.
We love you.